Hey guys, welcome back. We are starting on the bottom of page 6 today with finding areas of circles. I want to start out with giving you the formula for the area of a circle. The area of a circle is equal to pi r squared, where r represents the radius of the circle. Note that you need to use the pi button on your calculator, not just 3.14, so that you don't end up with a rounding error. Just to show you where that is, if you take out your calculator, in order to get to the pi button, you need to hit second, which is the blue button up at the top left, and then the up arrow key. That will give you pi on your calculator, and it will give you a more exact answer. All right, so let me show you an example. It says, what is the area of the circular putting green shown to the nearest square foot? So the equation is area equals pi r squared. However, on this picture, they gave us the diameter since it's all the way across the circle. Remember, that's called diameter. Remember, the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. So in this case, our radius is 10. So now we can go ahead and substitute in 10 for the radius. And you can solve this by plugging it into your calculator since it says to the nearest square foot. So you're going to type in pi times 10 squared. Let me show you this for the first one. Oops, let's do pi first. Pi, parentheses, 10 squared. Hit enter. So if we want to round this to the nearest foot or the nearest hole, that would be 314. It will round down since it's a 0.1. So for our answer plus units, the area is about 314 feet squared. Pause the video and try the example practice problem at the top of the next page. All right, if you got that the area of the target is about 452 inches squared, you are correct. You can move on to the next problem. If not, let me show you how to get this. So the equation is area equals pi r squared. Substitute, it tells us the radius is 12 inches, so we'll plug in 12 for r. When you plug this into your calculator, you type in pi times 12 squared. That'll give you 452.4, and since it says to the nearest square inch, we look at the first decimal, the tenths place. Since it's below a 5, it rounds down to 452. Okay, there are also times when they would ask us to find the radius, so let's do a problem like this. It says find the radius of the circle with the area 95 centimeters squared. We'll start with the same equation, area equals pi r squared. S, remember, is substitution, so this time the area is 95, so we're filling in 95 for area this time. Now to solve this, we need to figure out how to get r by itself. The first step, pi is multiplied by r. Remember, to undo multiplication, we divide. So our first step to solve this is going to be divide by pi on both sides. So we're going to take our equation and divide both sides. Whoa, that's way too thick. Divide both sides by pi so that it cancels out on the right side. So now we have 95 divided by pi is equal to r squared. Now we still don't have r by itself, we have r squared. In order to get r by itself, we need to square root both sides. Remember, when we square root, we use plus or minus. So the square root and squared cancel each other out, so that leaves us with just r. That's awesome. And the radius, think about it, the radius of a circle is never going to be negative. So we just want the square root of 95 divided by pi. So let's plug that in our calculator. Whoops, it's not area. The radius is approximately equal to Plug that into your calculator, square root of 95 divided by pi, and you should get 5.499. So to answer this, the answer plus units, the radius is, we could just round this to like 5.5 centimeters. Okay, try the practice problem on your own. All right, if you got that the diameter is 28 yards, you are correct. You can move on. If not, let me show you how to get it. So first, the equation, area equals pi r squared. Substitute 196 pi is the area, so we'll plug that in for A. To solve this, the same thing that we did the last time, we need to divide by pi first. And remember, you have to do that on both sides. So that leaves us with, well, actually, on the left side, the pi cancels out too. So that leaves us with 196 equals r squared. Now to get r by itself, we need to square root both sides. We're going to ignore the negative since a radius cannot be negative, and plug in square root of 196 to your calculator. When you plug that in, it gives you that the radius is exactly 14. But read closely, it didn't ask for the radius. If you put 14 as your answer, you are very, very close, but you need to read closer. It says find the diameter. So remember the diameter, diameter is double the radius, so the diameter equals 2 times r. In other words, the diameter would be 2 times 14, which is where we got 28. Okay, the next piece that we're going to talk about is finding the areas of sectors of circles. Sectors are basically a piece of the circle. So the formula, we get this because a sector is a fraction of the circle's whole area. So the formula here is x over 360 times pi r squared. So notice pi r squared, this is the whole area of the circle. In this, x represents this angle measure here. X is known, this angle measure is known as the central angle. Okay, this part here, the x over 360 part, tells you what fraction of the circle you're dealing with. Remember, 360 is the angle for the entire circle all the way around. So let me give you a quick example here. If x was equal to 90 degrees, so let me draw that. It would look like this. The central angle would be a right angle. Now tell me, what fraction of the circle is this? If you said that that's a fourth of the circle, you are correct. But let me show you what that means with x as 90. So remember, the fraction of the circle is given by x over 360. So if x is equal to 90, since that's a 90-degree angle, think about this. 90 over 360, isn't that equal to 1/4 of the entire circle? So if we want to define the area of just that shaded piece, we would find 1/4 of the whole circle's area. We could take the area of the whole circle and divide it by 4, in other words. Let's do a problem together. So it says a circular pizza has a diameter of 12 inches. And it's cut into 8 congruent slices. You don't have to have a perfect picture here, but a sketch will do. What's the area of one slice to the nearest hundredth? So let's start out with our equation. The equation is equal to area is x over 360, which remember is the fraction of the circle, times pi r squared. Now substitute. So first of all, the fraction of the circle. We can get this without even knowing the x value. What fraction is represented by this one slice of pizza? Hopefully you said 1/8. That one slice of pizza is 1/8 of the entire pizza. Now we also don't have directly the radius, but since we know that the diameter is 12 inches, remember the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. So in other words, 12 divided by 2. So we know our radius must be 6. Now to solve this, you can type it into your calculator like this. Let me show you what that would look like. So we have 1/8, so that's 1 divided by 8 times pi times 6 squared. So we have 14.1371. And they asked us to the nearest hundredth, so our answer plus units, the area of one slice is about 14.14 inches squared. Try the problem on the beginning of the next page. All right, if you got this answer, the area covered by green is about 20 inches squared. You're correct. Let me go over how to find this. So it says the diameter is 10 inches. So remember, diameter helps us find radius. Radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. So our radius, hopefully you got 5 inches. And the fraction of the circle, let's see. It says it's divided into 12 sections. We are wanting to look at 3 of those 12 sections. So what fraction of our circle are we dealing with? 3/12. Or, in other words, 1/4 of the circle. Now let's go ahead and look at our equation. Our equation is area equals x over 360 times pi r squared. So substitute. So remember, x over 360 is just telling you the fraction of the circle. If you already know the fraction of the circle, you don't need to worry about figuring out the central angle. So the fraction of the circle that we're talking about is 1/4 of the entire circle is covered by green. And we're going to multiply that by pi times r squared. We said r is 5. So to solve, we just plug this into our calculator. So you can plug it in just like we did the last one, and you should get 19.63. If we round this, it said find the approximate area, so we can just round that to 20 inches squared approximately. All right, there are 3 more problems here for you. I'd like you to pause the video and go ahead and try these. All right, here are all of the correct answers. For all three of these problems, we are using the same formula, area of the sector formula. And in all of them, we have a central angle. Be careful on C though. C is a little tricky for our central angle. We'll get to that in a minute. And we have the radius. So all we need to do is go through and fill those in. So we have 53 over 360 for the first one, and the radius is 4. When you plug that into your calculator, you should get about 7.400, which you can round to 7.4. The next one, x for the central angle is 148 over 360. That'll give us what fraction of the circle we are dealing with, times pi. The radius on this one is 6 meters, so we need times 6 squared. So plug that into your calculator. You should get 46.496, which you could round if you wanted to 46.5. And the units here are meters squared. The hardest one was this last one, because if you use this 65 degrees as x, pay attention because you're finding the area of the non-shaded part instead of the shaded part. So what we need to do, remember, an entire circle is equal to 360 degrees. So if we could take 360 and subtract 65, that'll give us our other part of our angle measure, the shaded angle measure. So that's 295. So make sure you're using 295 for x, not 65. Because notice 295 would be the shaded part, 65 is not the shaded part. Then you just need to plug in 11 for the radius, and then just plug it into your calculator. When you plug this into your calculator, you'll get 311.498, which you could round to 311.5, and then add on your units, inches squared. All right, your homework for tonight is on page 801. You are doing goal 5, numbers 12 and 14. You can skip number 34. And then you're doing goal 6, you're doing numbers 22 and 28. And the reflection question is number 44 in the book. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.